Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Tennis Asia podcast, and on this week's show it is the supermatch in Rome, a Bu Yunchaokete triumph in Wuxi. Jang Su-jeong continues to silence the doubters in Fukuoka. Meanwhile, the Uchijima juggernaut rolls on. Kwon Soonwoo returns in Tunis. We also talk some Taipei, and joining me to navigate our way all through this is a man who always keeps firm hold of his water bottle. It's Mr. Tennis Asia himself, Eddie McGee. How are you, Eddie?
Very good, Alastair. It's been quite an eventful week. And
it never stops, does it? There's just so much going on.
I mean, we were talking about how Rome's going really slowly, but it started getting quite interesting. So we've got a lot more to talk about than we thought. I thought we would.
And we will indeed start in Rome. We'll start with the Tennis Asia Bowl, the super match, the clash of the titans from this part of the world. Naomi Osaka versus Jang Qinwen. Round of 16 on clay. This took place yesterday, our time. I noticed you put up a poll prior to the match, and by a pretty big margin, they came down on the side of Osaka. I think it was 69% to 31%, albeit from a massive sample size of 21. I went the other way. I'm pretty sure you went the other way as well, and we were right.
Yeah. So obviously, I think that poll maybe reflects more about the number of Osaka fans on tennis Twitter.
The popularity contest, yes.
In fairness to Osaka, she had come in to this fourth round match in Rome in good form, and maybe surprisingly so. Obviously, she's still on the comeback trail after having been out for a while from because of her pregnancy and becoming a mother and everything. And she came back, and obviously as well, she's not had a very good record on clay. She's not comfortable on it. She hasn't been a good mover on the surface. But yet she came in and she's been working hard and working on clay, and she won 3 matches in a row and in straight sets, and not easy. One, she came through Burrell in the first round, but then she had to play 2 seeded players, Marta Kostyuk and then Kasatkina, and those are players who are not bad at all on clay. So especially Kasatkina, she's a highly ranked player as well. So I mean, yeah, she looked good. I mean, she obviously is a player that has a lot of power. She serves well. She serves big, and on clay, when she's got time, she can try and dictate. If she's, think in theory that should be possible. It's just the problem is, I'm guessing she has more difficulty dealing with those, the way the ball bounces on the clay surface, and also, I mean, obviously, if you have a big serve and you get a lot of points from that, it's going to be less effective on the clay, but nonetheless, you still have that time to set up your shots and harness your power and open up the court. So that's what she was doing well, and her opponents were struggling with the power that she was getting, and maybe they were making it a little bit too comfortable for her. But talking about Zheng going into this fourth round, she obviously had a great start to the year in Australian Open. She reached the final and she was a runner-up to Sabalenka. No shame in losing to Sabalenka. And but obviously she struggled a bit since then to match that kind of form. But she came in as a 7th seed here in Rome, and she played Shelby Rogers in the second round after Zheng had a bye. But she came through that very comfortably, 6-2, 6-love. And then she lost the first set to Noskova in the third round, the 29th seed. She lost that for 6-3, but then came back in,
pretty easy,
convincing
style,
6-1, 6-2. And it just felt like she was getting back into her groove, and that's why I felt that it was going to be difficult for Osaka. Although Osaka had come in to this tournament in good form, it seems, basically Zhang is a different prospect. She hits the ball powerfully. She also has a big serve herself. She can match Osaka for power from the back of the court,
Right.
but she also has the more spin on her strokes that will cause more trouble for Osaka. And actually, when it came down to the match, it started off very well. I think Zhang broken the first game of the match. I think she was quickly broken back, but nonetheless, she took control soon afterwards in that set. I mean, yeah, she was serving well, returning well, and yeah, she just has that power that's able to match Osaka and also defend well, which is, maybe she can defend a little bit better than her opponents had in the previous matches, and that's and also move around Osaka that's in a way that they haven't been able to do. So she played really well, and for Zheng, it's exciting
Quite
for
a
her. Yeah,
quite a tantalising next round match as well, isn't it?
yeah. So she's through to the quarterfinals, and that is a huge match for her because she will play Coco Gauff. It's their first meeting. They've come close to meeting before, but it hasn't happened yet, surprisingly. This is the second year in a row that she's reached the quarterfinals. But yeah, so she's looking to make the semis for the first time. Interesting, of course, before the Osaka match, Zheng and Osaka, there's a little bit of interest in the fact that Zheng, was unhappy previously because Osaka now is coached by Wim Wissett, right? Who
Right.
was Zheng's coach and then sort of left suddenly, unexpectedly for Zheng to go back to Osaka because he was her coach before Osaka took a break. So yeah, that was a little bit of a talking point before that in this match. She was actually asked about it afterwards, Zheng, and she said, like, maybe if it was a few months ago, she's very honest, like she would have been upset and maybe really wanted to beat Osaka for this reason, but actually she was just actually very respectful to Osaka, saying she really respects her and she's coming back after being a mum and all this, and yeah, she was really like nice about it and just very open, saying like, yeah, but she was just, she was making the point that she's developed since then, and obviously she's reached the final and won title since then. So anyway, yeah, but now going into the match against Coco Gauff, the funny thing is that Zheng is now coached by Gauff's previous coach.
Right.
So yeah, a lot going on here, but it's an interesting match because I don't think Coco Gauff has played that well this season, right? And not as maybe you expect a top three player to play. And obviously Zheng's sort of getting back into the group. It could be a big match for her. And also, I don't believe that Zheng has actually had a victory over a top three player so far in her career. So this might be a great opportunity for her to do that and to make the semis for the first time, where she will probably play, if she does win, probably Swiatek. It's either Iga Swiatek or Madison Keys. I don't think many people are going to back Keys in that matchup. Right. So, but so obviously big news for Zheng, and I imagine that a lot of people in China will be watching that one against Coco Gauff, and and especially will be getting a lot of attention if she does manage to get the victory. And probably has already got a lot of attention anyway from just beating Osaka. So, yeah,
absolutely.
And then also
got our attention at least. So.
Yeah, and then it's exciting times. So yeah, like I said, like she's, I said previously, but she does seem to be very like mature even for her age, and I always think that's a good sign with players. Like, and those are the ones that she's shown steady progress, and it's probably about time. Yeah, she does something big. So this could be the time. Just wanted to remember we were going to talk about the other Chinese player on the men's side.
In the men's, it was the round of 32, wasn't it? Zhang Zhizhen, he beat Ben Shelton in straight sets pretty easily. I only saw the score; I didn't see any of the match, but I know Shelton's won on clay this year, so it's certainly not a bad performance.
Yeah, he won the title that was in the US. I would think that was obviously a very good result for him to win a title on clay, but I think the conditions there a little bit different from here in
Is that
Rome.
quite unique tournament, isn't it? Played at that country club or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Did you see any
but
of the Zhang and Shelton match?
I saw mostly just highlights. Yeah, but the Zhang against Galan in the first round, I saw he was playing very well. Won the first set 6-2, and the next set was he faced like a few set points. Yeah, but he
Right.
came through that 7-5, so that was quite a bit of a slog. But Galan's a good player on clay, so that was actually quite a good result for him. And then the next round he played Manarino, came through comfortably. Manarino's
Right.
not good on clay, so played Shelton and coming through 6-2, 6-4. Yeah, he was very good. I mean, Zhang, he's tall and he has a lot of power, and I think that just that suits him because on the clay he gets that bit more time. The high ball doesn't bother him. He can use that to create angles. Use that power to open up the court, and he moves very well. So that's obviously a big thing on clay. If you can move well on it, and yeah, Shelton, yeah, was dominated really in that match. Of course, yeah, and Shelton, of course, he has a big serve, but a little bit less effective on the clay. So Zhang will
So
go on to
exciting,
play
exciting times for China.
yeah, and Zhang will go on to play. It's a huge match for his opponent as well, Thiago Monteiro, who's the qualifier, who has hit form because. So that's also a huge match for him because if Thiago Monteiro was as a qualifier to reach the quarterfinals of a Masters 1000, obviously that's a huge thing. So,
Right.
big opportunity for both players, and I'm going to see. It's possibly as well for a good chance for Zhang to reach the semi-finals because, at least in my opinion, because he will play if he does get through that one, either the winner of Alejandro Tabilo and Karen Kashanov. For a quarterfinal in a Masters, it's not the toughest.
It's not a draw you can complain about. No.
No. So big opportunities there, and something we'll be looking forward to.
Okay, moving on to our regular crew who've been slogging around this part of Asia for the past few weeks. They were in Wuxi last week, and Bu Yunchaokete had a very, very efficient week in the Challenger. They're dropping just one set on his way to the title.
Yeah, exciting week for Chinese tennis again, right? So for Bu Yunchaokete, finally coming good in this Asian Challenger swing, and also this is his second Challenger title. His first came in Seoul last year, which was a big thing because that was a 125 title, so a big Challenger title. And then, winning here, he beat Igor Gerasimov 6-4, 6-1 in the final. And also, it's his first title, Challenger title in his home country. So
right,
that was really nice for him. Big crowd out for him. I'm sure that felt really nice. I mean, he's done well in this Challenger swing because he'd previously reached a semi and a final. Now he's got a title. I remember watching the first round match that he played, and he was utterly dominant in that. And I felt like this could be his week because, like, he played Omar Jaziga, player Australian, he'd be expected to beat, but it was 6-3, 6-love. And he's a good athlete and very determined player, and he really showed that well in that match. And he's got a big first serve, and he's returning well these days. So, these are all elements that can propel him much further up the rankings, I think. And he came through. I didn't see the quarterfinal. He came through a tough match against Filip Sekulic, another Australian player.
That's the one set he dropped, I think, wasn't it, during the
That's right. Yeah, it was 7-5, 1-6, 6-4. But nonetheless coming through. And then just to get the title, just maybe wanted to give a little bit of explanation around his name because I think maybe some people it's still
Right.
not confusing. Because so Bu Yunchaokete is his name, but actually it's because he comes from a Mongolian ethnic group northwest of China, and they basically, and according to their culture, they don't actually have a first or a second name. Like it's not like most cultures, right? That we have a first name, a given
Right.
name. So his is actually just it's supposed to be like one thing, and so sometimes you'll see like on various tennis sites either it'll be written as Bu Yunchaokete or Yunchaokete Bu, and people get confused like what's his name, but it's actually just it's considered just one thing, Bu Yunchaokete, but he's happy to be called Bu, and so that's
Right.
often just what he's called. So
That's what we'll do. He wasn't the only Chinese player who did. Obviously, plenty of the Chinese players did well last week, but a week ago we were talking about Tristan Schoolkate winning in Guangzhou, I think it was. His run was ended in Wuxi by another player. I think you want to talk about.
yeah, that's right. So Tristan Schoolkate, he did manage to reach the quarters, um, but yeah, I mean, I kind of expected that he wouldn't go all the way, right? This time, um, but he eventually lost to Shui.
Yeah,
uh,
Xu Jie, I think.
Shui Jie, I think his name. Yeah, so he's a qualifier, and he came through. He beat the seeded player Mattia Bellucci, sixth seed. He came back from behind, so he won 2-6, 7-6, 6-2, and then beat Tristan Schoolkate in the second round in straight sets, 7-5, 6-3. Very close match, and eventually lost in the quarterfinals to the finalist Gerasimov in three sets. But yeah, quite a surprising run for him in a way because he's just been playing at the ITF
Mm,
level for the most part. But he got the qualies here and come through and done really well. Perhaps it's a springboard for him to get into the challengers now. His ranking will be up. I think he's now inside the top 400 for the first time. So that will be good enough to get into some challenger qualies draws at least, if not the main draws. And yeah, but that's an interesting thing because he's 26 years of age, and I was looking up, because of the pandemic and this, I guess,
right.
this affected quite a lot of players in China or in East Asia. He actually was out of the game for like more than 2 years. It was like a good two
Right.
and a half years that he didn't play any professional tennis. So obviously that is going to affect your ability to get up the rankings and maybe delay your progress. But yes, we get late bloomers anyway in tennis, and maybe this is one here. So yeah, 26 years of age. So be interesting to see how he does. I don't know if he's playing. I don't think he's in. Is he in Wuxi?
Didn't
Sorry,
see him
Wuxi.
on the.
Taipei, I should
Actually,
say.
of course, they're into Taipei now. No, he's playing in an M25 in Luzhou this week.
Okay, fair enough. But he'll get his opportunity to the
I
entry
believe
lists are.
he's supposed to be playing Ducky Lee tomorrow, so that should be interesting.
Oh right. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Um, yeah, I just wanted to say.
One
Well, a thing about Boo as well. Going back to Boo, he also between the ages of 18 and 20 didn't play any professional tennis, and then when he did play, he started to absolutely smash it through the ITFs and quickly moved to the challengers, and then won his first title
right.
last year. So he's a player, you know. He's got a few years less tennis development because of that. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to reach a new level in the
Right.
next year or two. So
Right. I mean, without having any knowledge of the issue, it also it could be a couple of years less wear and tear on the body, the grind of the tour and things like that,
Yeah,
while developing physically. So could be
true.
something. Could be something there. Someone who had a couple of weeks off was Coleman Wong. He has re-emerged in the latest of the seemingly never-ending series of challenges in the suburbs of Lisbon. Oeiras, I think is how we pronounce it, the one with the amazing-looking centre court. He played Patrick Gibson, I think it was, in the opening round, and it didn't take long.
Patrick Gibson, yeah. So it was,
Yeah.
was it 6-3, 6-1, was it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not that surprising. So, because I mean, Coleman, yeah, he's definitely, a young player with a lot of potential, but clay is not where he's going to be playing his best tennis going forward, because he has, he relies on that big serve, and he likes to be aggressive and maybe keep the rallies a bit shorter. That's obviously not the way that clay goes. So,
Right.
but I mean, I guess he's trained at the Rafa Nadal Academy, so you'd imagine that he'd have a bit of experience
Right.
on training and how to develop in on the clay courts. But that might be something to come later for him. Nonetheless, he'll go to the Roland Garros qualies, which are on starting next week. So that will be, well, we'll see how he does. I'm not particularly hopeful, but he'll probably just go back to the challenger swing, back to hard courts where he's comfortable, right, and try and get further up the rankings. I think that's his main
We should
aim.
also do. He's obviously he's not from this part of the world, but he won two of the challenges over here in the last month. So we should do a Lloyd Harris watch. I've seen nothing of him since he withdrew from Guangzhou. I think the last time he was this hard to pin down was when he was running away from your interview in Busan. Has he popped up on the entry list? Is he in Portugal as well?
Yeah, he is. He's in there as the 5th seed, and he's drawn against Frederico Ferreira Silva, a local Portuguese player who came through qualies. Again, I'm not a player that's adept on the clay, who has a big serve that he relies on, that's obviously less effective, and maybe he could get through that one. I'm not particularly hopeful, but I don't expect that he's going to go far in this tournament. But nonetheless, for him, his rankings are pretty high, and he'll be playing the qualies as well in Roland Garros. So you never know.
Right.
Always if you think the challenger unpredictable, slam qualification is very unpredictable.
Yeah. Speaking of, we'll move on. We'll move back to the women's side and speak about qualies. And unless it's qualies, it's pretty unusual to find Jang Su-jeong playing singles on a Saturday. Sorry, I've done it again, haven't I? I promised I wouldn't say anything like that this week. But such is 2024, and she had a really decent run last week. Jang went even better on the carpet in Fukuoka. She beat Cabrera. She beat Diyas, who we should mention briefly as well, and only went down narrowly to Bektas in the semi-finals.
Yeah, so I mean, since we've
since our little motivational speech a couple of weeks ago,
yeah, she's kicked on and she's got some results together. So Jang Su-jeong went into the Fukuoka W75 tournament as his 8th seed, and she had a tough start because she lost the first set to Cabrera of Australia. So she lost that first set 6-2, but then came back and won the last two 6-3, 6-1. And then she faced Zarina Diyas. We should mention, yes, Zarina Diyas making her return to professional tennis after first professional matches since 2022. So yeah, big for her. Zarina Diyas won the first match against her Indian opponent Borseo, and in straight sets. So that was good for her to get something on the board. But then she played Zhang and lost in 6-4, 6-4. Tight match. I think Diyas had opportunities to break back, but I think obviously Zhang Su-jeong. She's been playing more tennis recently, and I think she quite likes this kind of surface. So
What
Yeah,
was it? It was outdoor carpet, wasn't it?
yeah, outdoor carpet. So, and it looked fairly slick. So I think it's fairly quick. But yeah, so Zhang, she went through. She beat the fourth seed in straight sets. Ma 6-4, 6-4,
Right.
Chinese player, and then had a very long match against Bektas, who is Amina Bektas of America, who is top within the top 100, and she's had a pretty good period in the last year or so. I mean, she's just trying to maintain that top 100 ranking, keep herself in contention, within slam reach, right? So, and yeah, so
Right.
she's managed to do that. She came through a long match. Yeah, tough match, I think, and probably one where maybe Zhang was probably kicking herself afterwards.
Yeah.
This opportunities there, but it ended up Amina Bektas had came through two very long matches against Carol Zhao and then Zhang, and I think
And might
probably
have
she
caught
was
up with her in the final.
where she was beaten 6-2, 6-4 by Kim Birrell, who is from Australia and was Zhang's doubles partner recently when they won the title in Tokyo, right? So
So doubles partners avenging on behalf of doubles partners there in the singles final. Yeah. Just one more thing on Jang Su-jeong. Do enlighten me. What were we supposed to be voting for on the Billie Jean King Cup Instagram feed this week?
oh, that was like so the Billie Jean King Cup they put up for like the Asia Oceania. I guess that was like the Davis Cup ties. I think it was Group One ties, right? So there was
Right.
China and Korea were involved, and then they do this little thing where they're going to vote who was your heart player, the player that showed the biggest heart, I guess.
Right.
And so it was Jang Su-jeong against Wang Jinyu. Yeah, Wang
Right.
Jinyu.
That's it.
And well, I mean, Zhang did very well because I remember she won all her matches. Right, she won her
Right.
three singles matches that she played. I can't remember what was the situation with Wang. I guess she did well, but that was just a little bit of fun that they do there. But as with
Right. I
these
mean,
things,
I
they're
was
always
borrowing people's Instagram accounts so that I could vote more than more than the once.
uh,
But I don't know if she came through the voting there.
well. I mean, as with these things, I mean, it's pretty much like you said, often just a popularity contest. It's not
Yes.
really. Yeah, there's going to be more people
Okay.
probably that know Wang.
Zipping
Yes.
across to another continent, this will be the third continent we talk about. Kwon Soonwoo is back. He's in Tunis, and we'll talk about him in a moment. He was pictured training with, I think, Gerard Campana Lee, who came through qualies. Tell us a little bit about Gerard.
So Gerard Campana Lee is a player that represents South Korea, but he has a Spanish father and a Korean mother, and he grew up in I think he's born in Barcelona. He grew up there, so he's well used to the clay courts of Spain, and that is his most comfortable surface. He plays on clay pretty much all the time.
Right.
So yeah, he's interesting because he was a top junior, top 10 junior. He finished
Orange Bowl winner.
he won the Orange Bowl. Yeah,
Could be the next Jamie Delgado. Or the next Roger Federer, but both of whom have had exceptional careers in tennis, I hasten to add.
yeah, and Gerard Campana Lee, yeah, amazingly, interestingly, because when he turned 18, he had to make the choice between choosing either to take because he would have had dual citizenship, Spanish
Right.
citizenship, and Korean citizenship. He chose the Korean citizenship, which means that he will be obligated to do mandatory military service in Korea. So it's quite a big decision, but he's gone down that route and he wants to represent South Korea. Of course, Kwon, who he was training with in Tunis, will have to go to the army unless he does the spectacular and wins any
Any
medal
medal. Yeah.
at the Olympics, and that's going to be unlikely. Well, anyway, it was good for Kwon to actually come back because a little bit disappointing for him because he got to the semis in Busan and was in really good form and had to withdraw because of his foot injury or twisted ankle. But he's come back and he was training with Campana Lee. And unfortunately for Kwon, he lost his qualifying match. But it was not the strongest surface for him, Kwon, anyway. But obviously, first match back, he lost to Timofey Skatov of Kazakhstan. Not the easiest first round because I think Skatov has been in pretty good form as well on the clay stuff. So but for Kwon, it's just to get that experience before he goes on to. He won't have to play qualies because he's got that protected ranking. He'll go play in the Roland Garros main draw. For Gerard Campana Lee, though, he was lucky enough to get a bye from the first round of qualies because his opponent withdrew. It was a late withdrawal, and then he went on to play the seventh qualifying seed Carlos Taberner, who is quite experienced on clay challengers and has been much higher ranked. I think he's won title, clay challenger title before. So Campana Lee to come through 7-5, 6-1. That's a great result. He goes through and he will play a Japanese player, Sho Shimabukuro, who's actually last year's champion in the first round. Sho is the fifth seed. A bit of pressure for Sho because I think that he'll, obviously he's losing some ranking points there, so he'll want to back that up. But I think, not the easiest draw for Campana Lee, but also for Sho, he's, I think, going to be worried about that draw. So because Campana Lee, he hasn't had the best start to the year because he got to like semis of a clay court challenger last year and he was looking very good. He's got an excellent forehand, Campana Lee. It always seems to me that he's got one of those forehands where it just looks like he can put the ball wherever he wants, with it. But the backhand maybe is a little bit weaker. And but nonetheless, a player definitely with some potential, and we'll be looking forward to that match against Sho. That's going to be later today. We're recording here on Tuesday, later than usual. So we'll be looking forward to that and see how Gerard does.
I noticed you talked about protected rankings and things like that. I did notice that Kyle Edmund lost in the final round of qualies for this tournament. Obviously, again, not in our sort of Tennis Asia purview, Kyle, but obviously a player we've both followed throughout his career, and an example of just how hard it is to come back after injury once you lose the protected ranking in terms of getting into tournaments and things like that. Last week, we had to move on, but last week our player of last week was Moyuka Uchijima, and she headed. How could we forget? And she headed straight to Prague, and she pretty much picked up from where she left off.
Not Prague.
Was it not Prague?
No, it was, and she was Slovakia. So she was in
Slovakia. Okay,
Tirvana. No, I think it's another smaller city. Tirvana in Slovakia. Yeah, but I mean, winning her second title in Gifu, the 100 title. Incidentally, Sho. I was surprised to find that Sho Shimabukuro is born in Gifu. So a little connection there. But going back to so Moyuka Uchijima, winning the 100 title in Gifu and then flying straight from Japan. Remember that Gifu title was played on hard courts. She's going straight back to Europe to play in Slovakia on clay, and then wins the title. 75 title. Didn't drop. She only dropped one set, and that was a quarterfinal against Soboleva. I managed to tune in for a bit. That was a hard, tough match. I think there was a bit of wind as well. Didn't make it easy. And, can be a depressing place sometimes on that ITF circuit. I mean, sometimes they don't even have the ball, kids, right? Because, these tournaments, they rely on volunteers, right? And sometimes they just don't have the resources, right? So Uchijima, though, she went through the semi-final match 6-4, 6-love, and then the final against Mona Bartel of Germany. So that's a good victory over her as well. 7-6, 6-3. So Bartel is a player that's been, many years ago was ranked in 23 in the world, but a lot of the experience, right? So currently ranked a bit much lower. I mean, she's in the 200s, right? So 250 or so, but it's just she's got to have been tired surely after coming with the jet lag and everything. So she's gone from Madrid, won a 100 title, gone back to
She's
Japan,
now
won a 100 title, gone back to Europe, won a 75, and now she's entered into the Madrid 100 in So we'll see how she does there. She's seeded there. I think the 7th seed. I mean, it'll be amazing if she can win that. It'd be crazy. But we should also mention that she's made a top 100 debut. I think because the rankings aren't updated yet, but they will be updated after Rome on Monday. So she's around 93. She should make her top 100 debut, even if she loses in Madrid. But looking at her form, I mean, I don't expect her to lose her, but Uchijima. But someone was pointing out, and it's a fairly good point that maybe it would be better if she skipped it because for one reason she might be tired, but also Madrid is a higher altitude, so it plays a little bit differently, plays a bit quicker, ball's more lively, so maybe that's not the best thing before you go to Roland Garros qualies. But right. I mean, I don't know. She just wants to keep that
on a hot streak, keep the momentum going.
Yeah, I mean, who can blame her? She's already had a great time, so yeah.
Okay, so on the agenda this week, the ones we've been following over the past few weeks, most of them have now pitched up in Taipei for the Challenger there. So far, the rain has been winning this week. We've not managed to make much progress into the tournament so far, but anyone you like in Taipei this week?
Yeah, well, the rain has been there, and they've managed to get a start again. We started late with this podcast on Tuesday, so maybe they've done us a favour there.
Yes,
because the main draw has mostly not been played, so you're still doing qualies. I mean, one thing I would like to say is that Nam Ji-sung and Rei Ho, who are the Busan champions. Remember, Nam Ji-sung is from Korea and Rei Ho is of Taiwan. This is where this tournament is being played in Taipei, so they are back together again here. So it'll be interesting to see if they can, do well. I mean, obviously, Ho is going to have some good backing. Interestingly, Rei Ho has actually got a wild card into the singles as well, and will play a qualifier, so not too bad for him.
And Nam Ji-sung is into a final set against Oi Sugi now, who is of course the doubles partner of the veterans. So two double specialists playing one another right now in Taipei.
Yep. So as far as who, like you said, it's always difficult to predict these because I mean, I would maybe lean towards the. I mean, it makes sense to lean towards some of the Taiwanese players doing well because I noticed that in the first round, Uchijima has to play Xu of Taiwan. Not an easy first round for Uchiyama, I should say.
Right.
Yasutaka Uchiyama, who was the Busan champion. So I think that's difficult, and I maybe expect Xu to, I think, go for an upset there, but let's see. And then we've also got Hong on the 6th seed. Purcell's got a decent draw, I must say, though. But he's been absolutely in poor form, to be honest, because he hasn't won at all levels. He hasn't won more than he hasn't won 2 singles matches in a row since like August last year. Because he had a great run on like the ATP, right? So he had a run like the Masters, and then in the, like 250, and then since then he's just not been able to keep up. So maybe. But nonetheless, a pretty good draw, so he might have a chance to get some matches under his belt here. As far as who I think is going to win, well, it's really difficult to pick, I think. Perhaps Adam Walton has a good chance here. And James Duckworth, though, has a little bit difficult section because he's got Lee Tu, Sekulich, Arthur Ferry, and Wu Tung Lin of Taiwan. You'd maybe fancy Wu to do some damage, but he's not got an easy draw. So I am going to choose winner again. Not again because he hasn't won in the Suasian swing, but maybe I'm going to pick Adam Walton to go and win the title because I think he's got a decent side there and he's in good form. He's almost at the top 100, so he will be looking to that. If I was going to pick an Asian player, maybe perhaps Su. Yeah, the unseeded Su. So there you go. That's going to be.
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
see. So
Sadly for the pair of them, I'm expecting them both to be eliminated by the time this gets uploaded now, but we shall see. Okay, any other items on the agenda to cover before we wrap up?
well, just looking ahead to the rest of. Of course, we talked about Rome and the matches we're looking forward to there, but we should mention that we've got the Bordeaux. We've got two 175 ATP Challenger events, and in Bordeaux we've got the return of Sumit Nagal. So we'll be very much looking forward to seeing how he does because, he's a great clay court player, and he's opening against Harold Mayo, I think, of France. So Jerry Shang is there as well. He opens against Hugo Gaston, another little lefty Frenchman that he's got to deal with. So, I'm not. Shang's been struggling physically recently, so I'm not particularly hot on him, to be honest, at the moment. But we'll see if he can get some results. But I think Nagal has a chance to get a little run there. And also, there's a chance he could meet Andy Murray. Andy Murray's making his return in Bordeaux, so many will be looking out for that. And then the other challenger.
I did enjoy your little quip last week. Is that we can't have a Murray Nadal, so we might have a Murray Nagal.
yeah, that's the sad thing about some of these legends have fallen, so we're going to have to make up with that anyway. So what's the other one? We've got is it Turin Challenger?
I think you mentioned Turin was the other one that begins. Yeah.
So we've got that coming up, and then as far as the Asian interest in that particular tournament, I don't know if there's that much, right? But then we've also got events in Paris, the 125 WTA Challenger for the women, and the other one is in Parma.
Oh, Parma. Okay.
In Italy, yeah. So and there we've got Wang Yafan is playing, and also Indian player Ankita Raina. Ankita Raina.
Oh, okay.
Right? So she's we've seen her many times at this sort of level. So we'll see how they get on, and that's pretty much it. And then especially though, we're going to be looking forward to Rome, seeing how Zhang Zhizhen and Jang Qinwen do in their big matches. So
big week ahead. Eddie, thank you very much for joining me today, and enjoy your tennis this week.
Yeah, thanks a lot.